Ms. Silko.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for joining me to do this interview this
Yes,
afternoon.
ma'am.
All right. I'm just going to get straight to the question. I'll take up all your time today.
Okay.
All right. Most critics call you the first Native American woman novelist with your first novel, Ceremony.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's true. The reason I hesitate in my answer is that we in the United States have so much ignorance about our own history. I mean, there might have been some Native American woman a long time ago that we don't know about. But I suppose no, I guess I am the first. It's hard to believe that it would take so long.
This is a great achievement for a writer.
Yeah.
You started writing poetry drawn from an old Indian legend handed down by your ancestors.
Yeah, right. When one grows up in the Pueblo community, in the Pueblo tribe, the people are communal people. It is an egalitarian communal society. The education of children is done within the community. This is in the old times before the coming of the Europeans. Each adult works with every child. Children belong to everybody, and the way of teaching is to tell stories. All information, scientific, technological, historical, religious, it's all put into narrative form. It's easier to remember that way.
So this type of education was exclusively based upon oral tradition and not written culture?
Yes, it is a culture in which each person is valued. The oral tradition stays in the human brain, and then it is a collective effort in the recollection. It is a collective memory and depends upon the whole community. There is no single entity that controls information or dictates. But this is an old tradition, and it's a constantly self-correcting process.
I have one more general question. Could you just tell us a little about your career? It seems remarkable that your beginnings as a writer coincide with the revitalization of Native American culture in the U.S. in the 1970s. With the breakthrough of N. Scott Momaday in the late 1960s, with the politics of self-determination, when Indian got a lot of, attention. For example, Indian art, like on the book jackets of Ceremony, went into the museums. Could you please contextualize your own bibliography? Tell a little about yourself?
Sure. It was a kind of renaissance, I suppose. Actually, in the 1930s, there was a novelist, a Flathead Indian named Darcy McNichol, who published some novels then. It was a brief moment of hopeful liberalism, but it quickly disappeared because of the war and everything. It is difficult to pinpoint why, but perhaps in the 1960s, around the time when Momaday's books got published, there was a new interest. Maybe not new, but people became more aware of indigenous cultures. This came about, and it is odd, just a coincidence, that I would be starting to write in this moment, and Momaday's Housemaid of Dawn would be published as a success. It's hard to account for the coincidence of time, and as far as my background, I'm of mixed ancestry. Laguna, Mexican, white, but I don't apologize for this anymore. Not to whites, not to full-bloods. My origin is unlike any other. My poetry, my storytelling, it rises out of this source.
All right, well, thank you so much, Ms. Silko, for doing this interview.
You're welcome.
I have to catch you another go around when you write your next story.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you again. You have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.